Good evening to 12th grade students, parents, and high school counselors. Thank you so much for joining us for the Knowledge at KBT Admissions 101 workshop series. As many of you know, we have a very good topic and a very interesting one today that many of you all are very interested in knowing more about. Is about choosing the right fit institution at a US university. And then, of course, we have Mr. Jim Smith from High Point University who would be sharing more information about this, not only the session topic, but also about the esteemed institution, High Point University. As you may have known from our outreach campaign to your schools that have gone out, the first 30 minutes will be about the session topic, and the second 30 minutes will be about information about High Point University. As always, kindly feel free to post your questions in the Q&A box and not in the chat box. And I'm sure Mr. Smith would be more than happy to answer all your questions towards the end of the program. Having said this, I now hand over the stage as well as the microphone to Mr. Jim Smith. Mr. Jim Smith, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We truly appreciate your kind time and we wish you all the best for the workshop session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And thanks to all of you for being here to have a moment to share with that I can share with you a little bit about how to choose the right college. And my name is Jim Smith, and I am the Director of International Admissions at High Point University, the premier life skills university found in High Point, North Carolina in the United States. Well, choosing the right college, when you're going to do that, is very important. It's one of the most important decisions you will make in your entire life. And that is such an important thing because it's going to affect you not only academically, but socially, emotionally, physically, and of course, financially. So because that decision is so important, it is important that you weigh all your options carefully and you make the best decision you can for your career. Well, one of the first things we want to talk about is when you're making a decision on choosing a university, you need to draft a list of the universities, the schools you want to attend. But how do you do that? How do you make that decision? There's so many schools. In the United States, there's over 4,000 universities and colleges. So how do you make that decision? How do you do that? Well, you have to start looking and have to start figuring out what it is that's important to you, to break it down into certain areas that of importance and figure out things such as location. Is the location important? If it is, that narrows it down just a little bit for you. Then you need to think about the other things that are important, such as enrollment size. Do you want a big school? I went to a school of 50,000 students. And at that university, I was simply a number. I was not known as Jim Smith. I was simply a number. Wherever I went, they asked me for my number. It was difficult to do some things in a large school, but a large school also presented some real options and opportunities because they offered a lot more classes, a lot more majors, and those kinds of things. So those are some of the things you're going to have to think about. And generally, these large universities are found in larger communities. So size may be important. If you're looking for a small school that has small class sizes, do you have more of a personal relationship with your professors, then you need to look at a smaller school. And universities and colleges in the United States range all the way from 1,000 students, as I say. Some universities are now up to 60 to 70,000 students, so literally a small community. So enrollment size could be important. What about the majors that you're going to be selecting? Now that's very important. You need to determine what it is you want to do and what you want to study. Universities will have people to help you with that decision. It is all right to attend a university and not know what you want to do. You may have an idea, maybe it's business, maybe it's hospitality, maybe it's engineering, whatever that may be, that's fine, but make sure that's where you have a passion. Make sure that's what you want to do, because once you make that decision, you move down that pathway, you want to make sure that it's something you're going to enjoy. Well, at High Point University, we have an opportunity for you to work with what we call success coaches, who are full-time adults with masters and PhDs who totally focus on the student to help them with that decision, finding the right major, because we want to have that passion. We want to be excited about what we're going to be doing. The university I went to, I had an advisor. It was a faculty member, very nice lady, and I went to visit with her. But she was teaching in the math department, and I was in social sciences. And at that point, she wasn't really able to help me because she was busy teaching classes. She also was on some committees, and she was writing a book. As I say, I spent 15 minutes with her, and then I struggled for the rest of my 4 years at the university trying to figure out what it was that I had a passion for. And I changed majors 2 or 3 times. And even when I was done and finished my university uh, education, I wasn't sure whether that was what I really wanted to do. So be sure that you look at those majors, be sure and understand it is all right for you to attend a university and not know exactly what you want to do. The other thing we want to talk about is people on the campus. You know, we live on that campus as students, and it's important that when we're doing that, we feel comfortable. We see that the campus is a comfortable place to be. You know, college is stressful. There's no question about it. It's stressful. But why does it have to be over stressful? And you need to find a way to be less stressed, to be more comfortable. And you find that with whether the dormitories look like or the off campus housing looks like. What are those kinds of things? What is the transportation like? How am I going to get from class to class? And maybe one of the biggest things to think about is, are the students happy there? Are there smiles? How do they feel about the university? All those kinds of things can be very, very important for you as you go through this process. So be sure and look at what we call the atmosphere of the university. You know, what are some opportunities outside of the classroom? All this information that I'm bringing up to you, all these points, these can all be found on the websites of the universities. Our universities in the United States spend lots of money, thousands and thousands of dollars, in preparing these websites with videos and all sorts of opportunities for you to find out more information, to make that right decision on the college of your choice. So what are the opportunities outside the classroom? Are there internships? Are there research opportunities? All those kinds of things are important because you go to college for basically 2 reasons. First reason, of course, is very obvious. You want to get a great education. The second reason is not so obvious to some people, and mostly that's university people, it seems like. That's to get a job, to move forward in your career, to be able to do something. And I left my university not having done any internships, not having an opportunity to really have any experience outside of the classroom. And when that happened to me, I would go to a business and give them my resume. And the first question they asked me was, Jim, what experience do you have in this area? My answer, none. Did I get the job? No. It took me a long time to finally get enough experience that I can move up the ladder. Those are critical things. So make sure you look at what opportunities you have outside of the classroom. And then, of course, the cost. You know, what's it going to cost you to go to the university? Don't think that because it costs more money that it means it's out of your realm to go to, because there's all kinds of merit scholarships, fellowships that are offered by these universities. Your private universities are going to be more expensive than your public universities. Public universities tend to be much larger than private universities. All these factors you need to make sure you take in consideration. And the other thing you want to look at is, how selective is the college? Is it selective in the sense that I'm not going to make it in there? Because some universities will be very selective and only accept a very, very small percentage of those who apply. Unfortunately, many of the students who I've talked to look for those universities and then are disappointed when they are unable to be admitted to the university. So let's look. Let's look at what's. Let's see. Did I mess up here? Okay, what is the number one priority? You need to decide what you have. Is it wants or needs? Wants are one thing, and needs are another. I want to make $1 million, but I'm not going to be able to make $1 million. But that's a want. But what do I need to make that? I need to make the right decisions. So look at your needs. Is it the major that's your major need, or is it the location that's a major need? Those are the kinds of things you want to look at and decide. Again, is the social atmosphere important? To some, the social atmosphere is very, very important, and it really is something that you need to look at and check into as you go through this process. So those are important. Is the ranking important? Again, to some students, the ranking is critical. And we don't want you to be looking in a situation, putting yourself in a situation where if the ranking is all that you're looking at, you need to be careful with that, because ranking here in the United States is not exactly what it means to you. And I say that because what happens is a lot of the ranking, how that started, just as a fun story to you, when publications started doing rankings of university, the reason they did that initially was to generate revenue for their magazine. So if you bought an ad as a university for their magazine, spent thousands of dollars, your ranking went up. So be careful when you look at rankings. It's not that I'm not saying it's not important, but be careful that you don't set everything on just the ranking. Okay, and the cost, again, as I say, cost can be mitigated by utilizing scholarships and other means, and there are all kinds of scholarships available for students. So be sure and check on all those things. So is the major the most important? Is the location the most important? Is the atmosphere of this university? Is it the ranking university, or is it the cost? These are all things to think about. Then, once you've got that all taken care of, you've got to think about, all right, I've got the list of universities I want to look at. I know the ones I'm very interested in. So do I make a decision to go early decision? Now, early decision is binding. So when you make that decision, it means that you are going to go to that university. But of course, when you make that decision and go to that university, you get to know whether you've been accepted very early in the process. So that is a wonderful opportunity for you. Here at High Point, we also add in, if you go early decision, you also get first choice of courses, first choice of housing. You get to start working with your advisor in December of your senior year. You also get to move in early before anybody else does. So we add a little bit more to the early decision, but you have committed to coming to High Point. Early action is non-binding, and that's an opportunity for you to look at other universities as well and take the best presentation. And different universities will have different numbers of percentage of students who will go to early decision or early action. Here at High Point, nearly 40% of our students will go to early decision. Nearly 40%, was 35, 36% last year. And about 50% are early action. The national average for early decision is somewhere around 15%. So we exceeded that quite a bit. So it helps us to understand that students really enjoy High Point University. Then I want to talk to you about the scholarships. There's merit scholarships, okay? And merit scholarships are based upon your grades, and they also based upon things such as SAT or ACT test scores. Now, I realize at this time during COVID that those tests are very difficult to take. So all of us are reevaluating how to review your transcripts if you do not have SAT or ACT. And we're looking at certainly different options and alternatives to doing that, because we want to make sure that we are fair with all of our students. Then you have need-based financial aid, and need-based financial aid is really every university that has that will determine what your financial situation is, and are you really needy and need to have some financial assistance. Not every university in the United States will offer that to international students. There are certain ones that do, but not all. Almost every university that I'm familiar with does offer merit scholarships. Then, of course, there's athletic scholarships, and depending on the university you look at or college, they can have athletic scholarships. But of course, those are based upon your athletic skills and that sort of thing, but that can be helpful for you. There are also such things as leadership scholarships. And those are based upon what you've done outside of the classroom. Have you been involved in community? Have you been involved in student government? Have you done other things that show and demonstrate your leadership skills? So those are opportunities for you as well. So these are just some of the things you need to be thinking about as you're starting to make your decision. Now, one of the things I bump into so often with my international students is they procrastinate. They have deadlines and they miss those deadlines, and then they're confused as to why they're pushed back in the application pool. You have to meet your deadlines. Do not procrastinate. You should start working on your applications now. Universities that have already gotten we utilize the common application here at High Point, and it was online August 1st. So we are having students are applying right now. So you can start applying immediately. You get a hold of us and start working on it today, and that will help you moved forward in your application process and get ahead of things. Okay. You should also be sure that you get all of your documentation to the university. Again, one of the biggest issues that we bump up against is students do not get their documentation, all their documentation to us. Ask the counselor what you need to provide. Obviously, your application. Here at High Point, we have Common App. Essay is important. When you do the essay, don't tell the counselor that you're a good student or that you're an athlete or that you're playing in the band, because all that information is going to be in the application. Tell a story about yourself. Tell something that will evoke some emotion. Maybe I'll get sad. Maybe I'll get happy. I might even get angry. But it evokes emotion that I'll remember that application essay. So be sure that you use like you're telling a short story. Now, most of these essays only need to be 3-4 paragraphs. So you need to condense it and get through and be able to present it that way. But the essay is important in that. Your recommendations. Every university asks for a couple of recommendations. You need to select people either in your school or family, friends, someone who knows you and can respond to the questions that are asked in the recommendation. How do they know you? In what capacity do they know you? And how do they see you? And what are you like academically? What do you like socially? All those kinds of things, if they can answer that is so helpful for them. And obviously your transcripts. Now your transcripts have to be in English, and they have to be we need to be able to translate them and understand them, because I have to convert them sometimes. Those of you who go to IB programs, I have to convert the IB scores to an American GPA. So I need to have all those transcripts, and you have to be in English so that I can read them and understand them. Very important. If you can take the SAT or ACT, that's critical. Be sure you do that. Be sure you take those tests if you can get to them. I know right now with the pandemic and all that's going on that they're canceling test sites, they're canceling test dates, I should say, and closing down test sites. But let us know. Let your counselor know. Communicate with your university. Communicate with your admissions counselor and let them know I am unable to take the SAT because of this situation. Let us know that. We will work with you and we will help you get through that process. Many schools are test optional. High Point University has been test optional for a number of years now. We do not require the SAT or ACT. Only in the case of merit scholarships, because it's your merit scholarship, as I pointed out earlier, is based upon your grades and your SAT or ACT test scores. Now, again, I don't want to confuse you, but understand that we are looking at alternatives to the SAT or ACT so we can make sure that your merit scholarship is awarded to you. English language tests. There are many English language tests out there. The TOEFL, of course, the IELTS, but there's Duolingo, there's ITEP. So many of those other tests are available for your university. Again, check with the university. Look at that website and see what it says, because it'll tell you on that website whether or not you can take the Duolingo, whether or not you can take the ITEP. Almost every university I know to utilizes TOEFL and IELTS. But check those others, because, for example, the Duolingo test is only $49, and you can literally take it, register today, take it tomorrow, and in 2 days I have the results. Where with TOEFL and IELTS, you have to register, you have to wait until you can take the test, and then you have to, it takes a couple weeks, 3 weeks for me to get the results. Now, Duolingo is an online test. It is very valid. We use it here at High Point University, and we've been very pleased with the results of the students who have taken that test. Okay, I need to move along quickly. As I say, you've made your list, you researched, and it has been completed on each of the universities. Now you've got to wrap that priority list. You need to narrow it down. Don't apply to 20 universities. It is so difficult to do that and to really be able to follow up. Narrow that list down. Remember, we talked about location, talked about atmosphere, we talked about ranking, talked about majors. Narrow it down utilizing those parameters, and so you have a priority list. Then you gather the application materials. Again, almost all universities use the common application, but not all. So you need to verify that. Also, some universities require certain courses taken in high school to allow you to enter their university. So check on that. Make sure you got the courses, you're enrolled in the courses that you need to be able to get into that university. Also, be sure, again, I can't overemphasize it, communicate and correspond with your counselor, each of the universities. Once you contact us here at High Point University, you will receive several emails nearly daily, making you aware of different events on campus, different opportunities for you. Be sure and read those emails. Be sure and read those emails and communicate. I also use WhatsApp. I talk with my students a lot on WhatsApp. So be sure and utilize all those things to communicate with your counselor. That's critical, because it always helps you when it comes to making for them to make the decision on whom to bring in. So what is our next step? Well, after you get your documentation in, it's a little bit of a waiting game. If you, here at High Point, if you get everything in for early decision by November 1, you know by the end of November whether you've been accepted and your merit scholarship. Most universities utilize that kind of a format. So that's something to consider, but be sure you get everything in. Now, once you start receiving all those acceptances, wow, congratulations, that's great. Now, ideally, the next step would be to visit those campuses. Now, I understand that that's difficult to do, and sometimes that's just impossible because, well, right now, of course, it's impossible because of pandemic, but even in a normal year, it would be difficult sometimes for you to visit the campus. So what's the next best thing? Be sure and look for virtual tours. Be sure, again, you may have already done some of that, but talk to your counselor, because they may have some other types of tours, videos that you can look at that might even be more helpful for you. Again, another piece of that is, hey, is there a current student there at the university that I could visit with, learn more about the university as well as the major? Be sure and ask for those kinds of things. Here at High Point, our professors love to talk to potential students. Do not hesitate to do that. Ask for that. This, again, is a most important decision that you're making. Don't let it slip out of your hands. Be sure and do everything you can to find out. Is there an alum that also I might talk to that's already in the field, already in that career field? Is there someone like that I could talk to? Very important, very important. Now, you got all these schools that have accepted you. Now let's reduce that list even more, because you need to make a decision. And now you need to make a priority. You need to rank those universities that have accepted you and determine which ones are going to be the ones you want to apply to actually attend, and make your choice. And now you're ready to do that, to attend the school, and keep in touch. Keep in touch. That professor I mentioned earlier, or that student I mentioned, or that alum I mentioned earlier, communicate with them. Talk to them. Continue that conversation with them. Don't just visit with them and then forget about them, because those people are going to be important to you when you come on campus. We talked about the atmosphere. Those kinds of things are very important. Now, some universities will also have teaching assistants. Here at High Point, we only use professors in our classroom. Those are things to think about. Ask about the average class size. At High Point, we average only 17 students per class. Most universities are 50, 60. You can imagine how difficult it is to get an education, an expanded education, in a large class like that. I taught classes that were up to 100. So be sure and check on those kinds of things. What class size are, what are those kinds of things that are going to help me to get into my career? What is going to make it easier for me to get a great education, remember, as well as get a job at the end, all right? Now, right now, you need to work hard. You need to remember that you are now on your pathway to your career. Discover that passion that you have, what it is that gets you excited, and determine if you have the skills to be successful in that field. You will find that you will have a more enjoyable life and career. I started my university experience. I was going to be a doctor. I had made up my mind I was going to be a doctor, and that was my passion. Boy, I was driven. I was ready to go. And then I ran into a course called organic chemistry, and it ate me alive. I realized at that point that I probably didn't have the intellectual skill set to really be a doctor, because that was just the beginning of my pre-med program. So I changed majors and did something else. I'm glad I did. But those are the kinds of things you need to think about. What do you have a passion about? But does it blend with the skills and talents that you have? Okay. Well, thank you so much for visiting with me and let me spend some time with you. I'm very happy to answer any questions you may have. This is my information. Please contact me. I have WhatsApp. When you use my WhatsApp, please be sure and introduce yourself. I often get a WhatsApp message and I have no idea who just sent me that message. So please be sure and introduce yourself, but do not hesitate to send me a WhatsApp message or to email me at any point. I am so happy to help you. I'm here to be a part. My goal is to help assess your application, help you assess it yourself, and to work with you. So thank you very much. And now I can answer any questions that you may have.
Absolutely. I think the questions on the Q&A box, and some students have posted it there. Thank you.
Okay. How do I get to those?
I'm so sorry. It's in the bottom right corner when you go there. If you see if the screen is, if you go to the Zoom application. You go to the Zoom application and you see in
Zoom
the
app.
right?
Let me. Okay. I don't.
Okay. Would you could you kindly go to Zoom? If you can just go to Zoom, you know where the app.
Oh, there it is.
Yep, the Q&A.
There.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. The first question: when selecting between a private and public university, what are some of the key differences to look for? Well, first of all, you're going to find the size. Generally, your private universities are going to be smaller in size and have smaller class sizes. So that's going to be the most obvious one. The next thing you're going to find is that they tend to be a little bit more expensive. And why are they more expensive? Because, again, they're smaller, so the class sizes are smaller, so it takes more professors to teach the courses, and so that's part of it. But be sure when you're looking at the cost for any university, whether it's private or public, that you look at all of the costs. So many students will come to me and I'll tell them how much our university is, and they'll say, oh my goodness, that's expensive. Well, our university includes everything in our tuition and fees. The only thing that's not included is your books. We don't know what classes you're going to take, so we don't have your books included. But a lot of universities will say, well, here's your tuition, and then they add all these different things to it. And ironically, if you look at all that expenses, including if you live off campus, on campus, is going to be very close to what a private university will be charging you. So the cost, the size is going to be the difference. As far as education-wise, of course, I'm a little biased. I think you can get a great education at a private university because of class sizes are smaller, so you can have more interaction. When you have more interaction, it allows you to expand the subject matter and learn a little bit more. It's not to say that public universities are not good. I don't want to misrepresent that, because there are wonderful universities. But as I say, I'm a little biased because I have worked in a private university, and I see that's what that small class size can do for you. Hope I answered that question well. Next question is, in terms of small school versus big school, what would be the average class size for a small school compared to a big school? Well, I just talked about that. And usually your small universities, or private universities, will have somewhere around, we average 17. Usually the other universities that I'm familiar with are going to be a little bigger. They're going to average between 25 and 30 students in a class. Where you get to a public university, a large university, my freshman class was 100 students, my English class. My freshman history class was over 500 students. I didn't see a small class until I got into my major, which was my sophomore year. And I got into my major, and then my classes started getting smaller. The other thing to be aware of is that in most universities, your freshman and sophomore year, you're going to be taught by teaching assistants or graduate students. High Point doesn't do that. At High Point University, every class is taught by our professors. We do not use teaching assistants nor graduate students. So again, class sizes will be averaging somewhere around 20 to 25 to 30, somewhere in that for private schools, and up to 50 to 60 in public universities, large universities. Would the first 2 years of a U.S. degree be the same for all students in terms of general ed requirements, and then each student pursues their individual major for the remaining 2 years? Yes, in general terms, that is absolutely correct. Almost every university, you do English, math, science, and history your first year or year and a half, and then you move into your major. But that doesn't mean you won't be taking other electives. You might want to take another course in your major to kind of decide if that's where you want to be. And that's so important to do. So if let's say you're studying business, that's what you want to go into. You may want to take an introductory business course your first year, and you can do that. That's not a problem. And then when you get into your sophomore year and the last part of your sophomore year specifically, then you'll very much narrow it down into your major. So yes, usually your first 2 years you spend on general ed or what we call core courses as well. Next question, are students allowed to enroll without stating a major so that we can explore choices, and which year are we required to declare a major? Absolutely. Do you know at High Point University, a large majority of our students are undeclared. They're not sure what they want to do. So what they do is they come here and they acknowledge that they're undeclared. And what we do is we connect them with their success coach. I mentioned that a moment ago. These are individuals who have the full-time responsibility to work with our students. There's no other university in the United States that has full-time counselors to work with the students in those areas. Every university that I'm familiar with has advisors, but they're generally staff or more likely faculty members, professors who are very busy doing other things. And then usually in your sophomore year, you're going to declare your major. And some students know right out of the bat that, you know, I'm going to be in business or I'm going to do this, and that's fine. That's fine. But we still here at High Point want you to go through the process of talking with your success coach, because you may find that you have a passion for something else. And I think that's the key to all of this, is making sure that whatever pathway you follow career-wise, it's a passion you have and you're excited about it. So that's good. Okay, next question. I have met Coastal Carolina University and the College of Charleston at my school. Can you please share the learning environment of High Point University? I think I've talked about that a little bit, the fact that we have small classes. What we have is we have what we call our 4 pillars. We believe that academic excellence is so important. So we retain our classes on an average about 17. All of our classes are taught by professors. We do not use TAs or graduate students. Every student at High Point University must do experiential learning beginning their first year. So when you're all done in 4 years, you've gotten 4 years of a great education, and then you've also combined that with 4 years of experiential learning, whether that's research, internships, whatever that may be. It's required here at High Point University because, again, remember, I talked about the 2 reasons you go to school. 98% of our students, 98% of our students within 6 months of graduating either have a job or they're in graduate school. And of those who go to graduate school, 87% get their first choice. Now that's a phenomenal number. Now, most of those who go to graduate school tend to be our international students, but certainly some of them are able to get OPT and other opportunities here in the United States. So that's part of it. And the next piece of it is you get a chance to have a seminar with the president of our university, Dr. Nito Quabain. And this gentleman is phenomenal, and he teaches a class on life skills. Those skills you're going to need as you go into your career to help you along. These are not skills that you're going to just throw away, or skills that you won't be needing. These are skills about budgeting, time management, oral communication, written communication, those kinds of things that are going to help you in your career. And then the final thing we do at High Point University, our 4th pillar, if you will, is character development. We know that mom and dad and everybody tries to help you and develop good morals and good values. That's wonderful. Let's keep that going here at High Point. Let's keep you involved in community service. Let's keep you involved in helping others and leadership service kinds of things. All those kinds of things that will help you to become more comfortable with who you are, to understand that when you give to others who are less fortunate, how good that feels, how good that makes you feel, that allows you to be able to share that with others and be able to expand upon your character development and being well. So academic success, experiential learning, life skills, and finally career development, character development. Okay. Next question. Would there be any admission advantage preference by applying through early action or early decision? Yes, at High Point and at other universities, early decision is looked at very favorably. So if you are committed to a university, if you think that's the university you want to go to, you should consider early decision, because you're looked at a little differently. And here at High Point, as I mentioned, you get so many advantages. You get your courses. You get the first choice of your courses, get first choice of housing. You get to move in early. You get to start working with those success coaches I talked to you about in December. So all those are tremendous advantages for you if you decide to go early decision. But it is binding. Always remember that. It is binding. So the other thing that you need to think about is, if you want to apply to a bunch of different schools, you can apply early decision to these schools, and if they accept you early action, to these schools, and then if they accept you, you can make that decision. Where with early decision, you are committing to the school that you're applying to. I hope that's helpful. Next question, between the three exams, IELTS, TOEFL, Duolingo, which is the best one for admissions and visa success? You know, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. If your university is accepting Duolingo or TOEFL or IELTS or another English language test, it won't matter. It should not have a bearing on your visa success. And it won't have a bearing on your admissions. If you pass that test to the level that's required by the university, it doesn't matter. There's no preference given to those tests. But not all universities utilize a list of English language tests. Be sure and do the research on that and find out. Here at High Point, we do accept Duolingo. We're very happy to accept Duolingo. And there's two reasons. First of all, it's cheaper for you. It's only $49 versus $250 or $260. Second, you can take it online. Third, it's valid. And fourth, we get the results within 2 or 3 days after you've taken the test. So we're not waiting 2 or 3 weeks, possibly months, to get the TOEFL or IELTS. And again, because of the pandemic, those may be difficult to get anyway. There may not be the same number of test centers for you. Okay, can you please share some essay questions as examples you're asked during the admissions process? Well, they're gonna ask you questions like, tell us about an event in your life that made a difference for you. Tell us if there's a person in your life that's made a difference to you. Those will be kind of the general questions. But often the university will just say, you know what, just write anything you want. Don't have to answer a specific question. Just write, those questions often are just to get you started. You can write whatever you want. Again, I would emphasize that try and write a story about yourself. Try and write something that will evoke some emotion from the reader. I've read some stories that literally I was almost crying because I just felt so badly for the student. I couldn't figure out, oh gosh, I went through that experience, but it was so impressing on me. And then I was crying again because it was so funny at with another story. So do anecdotal, do a story, a short story, if you will, about yourself. Again, they only have to be 3 or 4 paragraphs, so you got to be very creative in how to present that. Can you please share, next question, can you please share more information about High Point's majors available and international students? Yes, I sure can. We have about 60 different majors here at High Point University and 58 different minors. So we have added hospitality this year and nursing are part of our program that are been added. We now have electrical and computer engineering that are part of our program. So all those students, those majors are available now for students that hadn't been in the past. Business has always been our most popular major. Communications is popular. Our sciences are popular. Our health sciences are becoming even more and more popular here at High Point. So those are the majors. As far as the international students, you can take any of those courses you want. You're not limited on which ones you can or cannot take. The other thing is we do everything we can to help acclimate, to help the student become familiar with the university and help them to understand the advantages and opportunities offered by High Point University. Those are all very important parts, but we have a global education department that works directly with the international students to help them with orientation, to help them with any questions they might have, as simple as, where can I get food that, is there a grocery store where I can go to get food that is applicable to my country. So there's lots of things we do for our international students and try to make them feel much more comfortable. I'd be interested, next question, I'd be interested to know more about your requirements for fall 2021 admissions. Well, basically we look at the whole student, a holistic approach, if you will. So your application, your transcripts, your essay, your tests, scores, all those are going to be looked at. Those are very important. So we don't have any minimum requirements. Our average GPA here, okay, our average GPA is 3.41. Our average SAT is 1230. Our average ACT is 26. Now that's, again, these are from the past. So those are averages. Those are not minimums or requirements. So we look, as I say, at the whole student. And so we want to find students who want to be on our campus. We want to find students who are excited about being a part of High Point University. Next question, can you please discuss campus life and student safety at your college? We are ranked in the top 10 safety-wise and security-wise in the United States. We have 24/7 security officers. We have all that going on. And now, of course, with the pandemic, we've done a lot more things trying to make sure people are socially distanced, wearing masks. All those kinds of things are now in place and being utilized. Campus life is incredible. We ask students to live on our campus for 3 years. 96% of our students live on campus for 4 years, and we love that. We think it's important for you to be on campus. As part of our campus, we also have the Greek life, the sororities and the fraternities, if you're interested in that. We have over 100 plus clubs on campus that you can participate in. We have an organization called the Concierge, much like at a hotel, where they will help you find each week activities on and off campus. That global education department that I mentioned, they will have activities throughout the school year that you can participate in as a international student. So lots of things going on, lots of opportunities for you to get involved and be a part of it. And remember, when you're at a small university, it's much easier to be involved than if you're at a university with 50,000 students. It's very much more difficult to be involved just simply because of numbers, not for no other reason. All right. Our next question is, I would like to gain information about your career services and the help it provides to international students. Yes, we have a Center for Career and Professional Development. This center is specifically set up to help all of our students, domestic and international, with their career choices. Now, we can't guarantee jobs in the U.S., obviously. We work very diligently with our Global Education Department to help you find OPT opportunities, where you can go out for 2 or maybe even 3 years and work in a career field, depending on what it is, and spend that time here. And potentially that could lead to a full-time job. But we can't guarantee you anything in that area. What we can guarantee you is that we will help you find the internships. We will find during your time in, your tenure here, as well as research. We'll work with you to do that. So those are the kinds of things. Our Career and Professional Development Center is ranked in the top 15 in the United States. So it's a very good one. So we're very, very happy to have that. Next question is regarding scholarships at High Point University. Would you have time to share what the process and awards you offer? Yes, we do. We have several layers of scholarships. We have what we call our presidential scholarships. And as I say, in the past, it's been based upon your grades and your SAT or ACT test scores. The higher they are, the more money you get. It's that simple. Now we're looking at different alternatives to do that without the SAT or ACT included. And those scholarships, if you're up in the top 2 tiers, that means you are going to be able to also have an opportunity to increase those numbers by doing it. And we would do a Skype interview with our international students, or what we utilize what's called WebEx, which is similar to Zoom, as well, to do an interview with you in February and March to help you actually increase that initial merit scholarship. But you have to be in those top 2 tiers. Then also you're going to be able to get fellowships. And we have a whole list of fellowships, which adds another $3,000 to your scholarship program. So there are lots of those opportunities. Please, all of you, if you have any more questions, I'm going to continue here. But if you have any more questions, please utilize that information that I gave you on my email and WhatsApp phone number. What would be the closest international airport for incoming students? We actually have 3 airports near us, and if you'll let us know when you're coming, we'll actually pick you up at the airport. Again, no one in the university picks you up at the airports. We have one in Raleigh, North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, and Greensboro, North Carolina. So there are actually 3 that you can choose from. And you just need to let us know, and we'll be happy to pick you up and bring you to campus when you come. Can you share your campus infrastructure and your meal dining options for international students? Well, we have a variety. We have over 16 different places you can actually eat on campus. We actually also have a 5-star restaurant here at High Point University. There is no other university in the United States with a 5-star restaurant available for our students. So we have that here for you, and that's part of your meal plan. But there is a buffet, there is what we call a farmer's market, and there's all sorts of opportunities. In the buffet, they offer so many varieties of culturally different foods for all of our students on different days of the week. So you'll be able to have those opportunities as well. As I say, all of our students, well, not all, but 96% of our students live on campus. Excuse me, just a second, I need to get a drink of water. I apologize. Thank you. So you'll have that opportunity to be a part of the infrastructure there through all the students here. And we have 2 student centers that are ranked #1 in the nation. Our dormitories are ranked #1 in the nation. There's some very unique features to High Point University you'll want to check out. And again, do not hesitate to contact me. How many undergraduate students study at your institution? What is the campus size? We have about 4,600 undergraduate students. Our campus is 500 acres. So students come from 50 different states and 38 different countries. Would High Point be providing on campus or online learning for fall 2021? At this point, we're planning, we are opening our campus. Our students are arriving for fall 2020 this next week. We are optimistic. We believe that everything's going to be as back to normal as possible by fall 2021. So I guess to respond to this question, I doubt that we'll be offering online learning. We think it's much more important for you to be here on campus. The only reason we would want to offer online learning is if we're in the same status as we are today. And then we probably, to those students who couldn't get to campus, we would offer online classes. How does housing work in the university? Can you please share the options students have and the housing safety provided for students? Well, we're going to have 5 options. There are 5 tiers of dorms. First tier, second tier, third tier, and fourth tier, and fifth tier. Now, the first tier is a normal dormitory where you share a room with another student. And that's, of course, in a normal situation. And then as you go up the tiers, it's an additional charge of about $2,500 as you move up each tier to tier 5, which is basically your own apartment. So you have that. Every dormitory has resident advisors, residential people there, living adults to be there to help you. Security is constantly around campus. We have a 24/7 security, so it's a very safe and secure campus for all of our students. Okay. Yes, can I share my contact details with you? Yes. Grab a pencil and paper, and I'll give them to you in just a moment. So when you get that, I'll go on to the next question, and I'll answer give you my contact information. When would admissions begin for intake of fall 2021, and what would the applications deadlines? Okay, good question. As I mentioned, August 1st started the common applications for High Point, and you can go on our website and get the application there. It takes you right to the application to begin it. We have deadlines for November 1st is for early decision. November 15 for early action, March 1st for regular decision. And then what we do is we move into a rolling admissions process. And sometimes our international students end up in that process simply because of their schooling time frame, their school schedule doesn't allow them to get the information to us prior to that. And that's fine. I work with students all the way up until, even into June, helping them get their applications finished and so they can be here in time for school to start. Okay, now my contact information. Let me see if maybe I can bring up, let's see if I can do that.
Yep, we can see it, Jim. Thank you.
There, okay. There's my contact information. Please do not hesitate to contact me. I love working with you guys and would be most happy to answer any of your questions. And hopefully I've answered your questions that you've asked me today. It's been wonderful being here and being a part of this presentation. I do hope that I get to see you or hear from you in the future.
Absolutely.
There's no other question. Okay.
I'm so sorry, I didn't check. Nope, that was the last question about the admission deadlines.
Okay, all right.
Great, thank you so much, Mr. Jim Smith. I know it's very early in the morning out there, so thank you so much for your kind time in joining the 12th grade students, parents, and high school counselors and answering many of their questions about not only the session topic, but also about your institution, High Point University. Students, parents, counselors, I just wanted to kindly share this session is recorded, and guidance counselors, this will be shared with your school. So other students who were not able to join in today, we understand it's the evening time right now after a long day of school. So in case students were not able to join in today, the recorded sessions will be shared with you as well very shortly by tomorrow, so that you may kindly share this recording session with other students so that they may be in touch with Mr. Jim Smith in the future and also have their queries solved about High Point University as well. Having said that, thank you so much, Mr. Smith. We truly appreciate your kind time in joining us. As I mentioned, it's very early, so we really appreciate your time in the morning to us.
Oh.
And I wish you a wonderful day. Thank you once again.
Thank you so very much. And everybody have a great evening. And again, thank you. I've certainly enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Smith. Please take care. We look forward to keeping in touch with you. Stay safe. And thank you to all the parents and students for joining us this evening.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.